Well, I mean, I'll just say my players didn't even want me to talk to them after the game. You know, what do you want me to say at this point? Is some of the comments that I got, from my own players. I think they're fairly frustrated that we've.
Happy Monday! And welcome into the PHNX Sun Devils show. Of course, coming to you live from Studio K, presented by Circle K. Join Inner Circle for free by downloading that Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. I'm Anthony Totri, joined as always by the man making the magic happen behind the Mac. That is, of course, Captain Redbeard. Still no Eric Ruby. We might have to go looking for him at some point. We got Gabe in the chat, McKay as well. Do us a solid, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. I don't know what it is, but I'm feeling this music today, Captain Redbeard. It's something about it. Maybe because I know this is the last show before Rubis returns. He's been on the injury report for the last week, so we're excited to get him back in the lineup Tuesday night for a post-game show. But for now, we're just going to take on the day. It's what we do. This is how we start the week. Guys, grab a snack, a drink, and let's get ready to party here on the PHNX Sun Devils show on a Monday. We are talking Arizona State basketball throughout the show, and then we are going to hit a little Big 12 basketball power rankings at the tail end of today's program. I want to know how you're feeling, Captain Redbeard. Obviously, a super, super fun weekend that you and I got to have watching Arizona State basketball. And find a new way to let it slip. It was different.
It was. I mean, just as Bobby said, we find new ways to lose.
Oh my goodness,
gotta love it.
They do find new ways to lose, and the program in and of itself is finding new ways for me to just sit back and just be like, oh, don't do these things, right? And I think the fan base too is at a certain point where regardless of the results in the game, there are things that you do and say post-game that you should just maybe not do, right? And this is the second time now in a month that it feels like Bobby Hurley has maybe crossed the line post-game, okay? I obviously disagreed with the majority of the fan base. The last time there was a Hurley incident, that was, of course, the not shaking hands with Tommy Lloyd and the Arizona basketball program. I was full on board. I'm cool with it, whatever. The latest stumble that you could say Bobby Hurley had was post-game following Arizona State's loss to TCU. If you didn't see it, we played it, at least part of it, at the start of today's show. We are going to show it for everybody that didn't get the chance to hear what Bobby Hurley had to say post-game following Arizona State's just heartbreaking loss to TCU.
Well, I mean, I'll just say my players didn't even want me to talk to them after the game. What do you want me to say at this point? Is some of the comments that I got, from my own players. I think they're fairly frustrated that we've haven't been able to close these games out, and we're kind of finding new ways maybe each game to not be able to to get a win. So it's I think we're all at premium frustration level at this point.
I think the fan base is at a premium frustration level, and I get it. Coaches, players, everybody is upset with the way the first season went in the Big 12 is going for Arizona State. With that said, I can't think of a scenario where saying what Hurley just said makes any sense in a post-game press conference. What he pretty much said is, I've lost the locker room. They're finding new ways to lose. Yes. Have they lost 10 out of their last 12 games? Yes. Has Adam Miller been ejected and or suspended in 50% of the last 4 games? Yes. Is Jaden Quaintance playing as of late because of an injury? No. Is Josan Sannon connecting? No. It's all falling apart. But even when it's all falling apart, the last thing that you should do when you get to a post-game press conference is say, hey, it's falling apart, and I can't stop it. You lose a heartbreaker to TCU. A game that, again, you could sit post-game and say, hey, a lot of fight, a lot of energy, whatever. It didn't go the way that we wanted it to go. Of course, we are going to fight hard on Tuesday to make sure you get a different result. Not sit up there afterwards and say, the guys didn't want to talk to me. What do you expect the fan base to say to that? And maybe he doesn't care. Maybe Bobby Hurley does not care what the fan base has to say or what the fan base thinks. That could be it. But what do you think as an Arizona State fan in the chat? What do you think when you hear your coach say that? Right? It's almost reminiscent of when Kenny said, hey, our kicking game is atrocious. Reminiscent in a way where you wouldn't expect a coach to say that. However, when Kenny said it, the follow-up was open tryouts. We're going to fix it. Our kicking game's atrocious. We're going to do everything possible to make sure that we don't go into next week with this same issue. Right? Obviously blown out of proportion. You do tryouts, whatever. Maybe took it a step too far, regardless. Bobby, on the other end, has these comments where he says, hey, my guys didn't want to talk to me post-game. What are we supposed to say? And then just kind of leaves it at that. There isn't a, okay, this is how we're going to fix it. This is how we're going to adjust. We'll get ready for Houston on Tuesday. I could be wrong here. I could be. But it feels almost like they're all kind of checked out of the year after that specific game. Right? Now, the players, they're showing up every game, every night. You're getting a solid 1/2 of good basketball. And then you're getting the rest. For me, it does kind of feel like it's, well, we've exhausted our options. We're just going to play out the remainder of the season and then see what happens. That's what it feels like outside looking in. I'm very curious to hear what everybody else in the chat has to say. Again, you go from a coach who, what I said on Saturday following the loss is, hey, you got to take accountability for this, whether it's your fault or not. And I do believe part of it falls on Bobby Hurley. This has been a bad year, right? Part of it, you got to accept responsibility as the head coach of a Division I basketball program for the failures that this season has been. Not sit up there behind the microphone after the fact and say, nobody wants to talk to me. The guys that I brought here don't want to talk to me after a loss. I hate that. It's a bad look. There are different ways to approach situations like that. And funny enough, we've got one. We got a clip from Notre Dame's Micah Shrewsbury, who is the head basketball coach there. Notre Dame men's basketball is not doing anything well either. And they're doing it in the Midwest, playing ACC opponents in basketball. But that is not stopping Micah Shrewsbury from the way that he is approaching the end of the season in the way that he is addressing the media. Take a look at the difference between Micah here and Bobby Hurley.
Big picture, like you said that 10-10 a couple weeks ago. Obviously, the last 2 weeks haven't gone the way what have you felt like have been the biggest issues in the past 5 games?
I don't know, man. We're going to keep fighting. That's it. As a group, as a team, we're going to keep fighting. Right? We're going to keep trying to get back to the drawing board. We're going to keep trying to guard people. We're going to keep trying to score people. And we're playing good people, too. Right? But I know these guys aren't going to quit. No, they're not going to quit. Right? And I understand that, like, I don't understand that a lot of people have quit on us. And well deserved. If you hate me, absolutely, man. Great. If you think I suck, if you think I can't coach, I'm with you, man. Good. Good for you, because you're allowed to have opinions. If you think I should be fired, good for you. You're allowed to have opinions, right? A lot of people have given up on this team. They've given up on me. I don't really give a damn. I believe in myself, and I believe in these guys, okay? So, like, don't give up on these guys. Don't give up on these kids. If you don't want to show up because of me, don't show up because of me, because you think I suck. Cool. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with it. I know people believe in me, right? I know people at Notre Dame believe in me. But don't give up on these kids, man. What have they done for people to give up on them? I know if you're not with us because we're losing, you don't want to come watch this, fine. Fine. But do it because of me then. But not these kids, man. They don't deserve that. They don't deserve that. Like, ain't nobody else getting home at 5 a.m. from Boston College and going to class the next day and coming to practice and working out and preparing to play Louisville. Nobody else is doing that. Don't give up on these kids, man. I don't care about anybody's opinion. I know who I am. I know I can coach basketball. And I know I'm turning this program around. So you gave up on me already? I'm going to see you back here. I don't give a damn. Don't give up on these kids, because we're going to get this thing rolling. I sat there and watched more Louisville fans in here than Notre Dame people. And that's embarrassing. That's embarrassing for me, because I'm the head coach here. And yes, I got us in this predicament. But don't come back when we're losing or when we're winning, because we're turning this around, man. You better believe that. Everybody that gave up on me, believe it. Write this date down and believe it, because we're going to get this thing rolling. I don't care if you gave up on me or not.
Give me that. That's how I want my coach addressing the media after that. Notre Dame's worse than Arizona State. They're 11-15 on the year. To Arizona State's 12-13. He's fired up. It looks like somebody that understands, hey, the program right now is not in a great place, but guess what? I'm not giving up. And you, the fan base, should not give up on these kids either, right? The energy, the passion, the juice. That guy's coaching for his job too. But don't you think that goes a little bit further with the fan base, to see that passion, to see that energy, not just sit back there after you lose a tough one, after you lost 10 of your last 12, and sit back and be like, man, I don't really know what to say. The frustration's there. No, come on, man. Of course you're upset. Of course everybody's irritated. Of course nobody wants to talk to you. It's your job as the head coach to make them talk to you. You got a head coach of 11-15 programs sitting up there fired up, slapping the microphone away because he's amped, ready to go. There's so much passion there. I'd much rather have that emotion than what you got from Hurley post-game of the TCU game. That's what you need to have. That's what leads me to believe Hurley is checked out right now, because you didn't get that level of response. You got a completely different response from Hurley. I could be wrong, but it feels like that, what we just saw from Micah Shrewsbury, would go a lot further with this ASU fan base in trying to mend the relationship than what we got and what we're getting from Bobby as of late. What do you think, Captain Redbeard? You were here when I first saw that clip of Hurley after the game, and we were kind of laughing about it. Like, he said that post game. Like, that's crazy. And then you see the way that Shrewsbury kind of handled the media after, obviously, a tough loss. What do you think?
You got to take accountability as a head coach. Like, that's one of your responsibilities. Take accountability for the team, no matter if they're, mid or they're bad. You have to take accountability. It's just part of your job.
Yeah.
And Bobby, didn't look like he was taking accountability after that loss. And really, you got two ways you can go. You can either not change anything, finish out the season, probably lose a bunch more games, or you can be like Micah. You can accept that your team has not performed, and you can really try to turn it around. And I think Bobby needs to do that if he wants to save his job.
Yeah. I think there needs to be I'm tired of hearing about the refs. I get it. I think there are certain instances, absolutely, where calls don't go Arizona State's way. It is what it is. But I'm tired of hearing why it's not working. I'm tired of hearing, oh, guys are hurt. Guys are getting suspended. Whatever, unlucky. Just own it. Just own it. Say, we had a bad year. We're having a bad season. It didn't meet expectations. This is not what the program should be. But we are going to do everything possible to ensure that the second year in the Big 12 for Arizona State looks 100% different than the way the first season has gone for Arizona State in the Big 12. It's just, it feels like the relationship between Hurley and the fan base is fractured. And the statement, the comments after the TCU loss just lead me to believe that you're not going to really see Hurley at Arizona State in 2026. I don't think he'll be back. I genuinely don't. That's just my 2 cents, my personal opinion on the matter. But I think Arizona State will have a new basketball coach in 2026. And I think the fan base would welcome it. And I think if you're Bobby Hurley and you want this job again next season, again, there are 2 sides to this marriage, right? There's the Arizona State side and the Bobby Hurley side. Maybe Bobby doesn't want to be back next season. Maybe he's ready to try something different. Go to a different school. Try and win at a different program, at a different university. I think I said this last year around this time. Maybe that's what's best for both of these parts of this marriage. Maybe Bobby Hurley needs to change the scenery. I know the fan base here in the Valley, they want a different coach for a number of reasons. And I think part of it falls into the comments that we saw on Saturday night. There's just not enough accountability for what this program is right now. And that's got to change moving forward. Look, I want to get everybody's thoughts on Bobby Hurley's comments from Saturday's loss to TCU. We're going to continue talking ASU hoops on the other side of this quick break. Guys, I don't know about you, but I personally am still younger than 30, and I am waking up with back pain, just aches. It's not good at all, okay? But Cornbread Hemp is here to save the day. If you're looking for a healthier way to relieve those aches and pains while getting a better night's sleep, try Cornbread Hemp's USDA organic CBD gummies. Cornbread offers the first USDA organic CBD gummy in the United States. Guys, one of one, their CBD gummies are the highest quality, full spectrum gummies on the market. They've got a number of benefits. They help with stress relief, better recovery, and my personal favorite, improved sleep. Here's what sets Cornbread's CBD gummies apart. Full spectrum, USDA certified organic, third-party lab tested for potency, and so much more. Not to mention vegan, dairy-free, and gluten-free with no artificial flavors or preservatives, guys. If you want to give Cornbread a try, they're offering PHNX listeners 30% off your first order. Just visit cornbreadhemp.com/PHNX and use that promo code PHNX at checkout. That's cornbreadhemp.com/PHNX. Use that code PHNX for 30% off your first order. This is The Good Life. While we're talking about The Good Life, how about we talk about the Sanderson Ford President's Day sale? Guys, it ends today, okay? In celebration of Arizona being the 48th State of the Union and Ford trucks being number one in sales in Arizona across the country for 48 straight years, Sanderson Ford is having a 48-hour only sale on over 800 new and pre-owned vehicles, many with savings of $4,800 or more. Okay, these offers end today, so shop the 48-hour only sale with no hassle, no pressure, and no nonsense. Don't let time run out on the Sanderson Ford President's Day sale. Bronco Badlands offer includes $1,000 RBC 17 at 50 RCC cash and $1,000 Jeep Open Conquest cash. You must qualify for Visa gift card, not valid on AXZ or D plans or Raptor, Tremor trucks, and specialty vehicles. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. Cactus Johnny in the chat saying, yeah, it's DFA's fault. Bobby hasn't gotten past around a 64 in his career. Yeah, the facilities at Arizona State as it relates to DFA could certainly use a bump in renovations. I am a big believer that you should just tear it down and build something new. Or Arizona State should play at Mullet. But that doesn't appear to be the case for Arizona State men's basketball anytime soon. Would be pretty shocked if they opted to do anything ridiculously out of the ordinary to DFA. And I don't expect them to play at Mullet anytime soon. Schedule-wise, it just doesn't work. So as it stands right now, Arizona State fans, if you're looking for either a new coach or a new arena, you are probably going to get a new coach before you get that new arena. And look, a lot of the blame is going to fall on Bobby Hurley. A lot of the blame has fallen on Bobby Hurley in Arizona State's lackluster first season in this conference, but it is not all on Coach Hurley. This team in general hasn't been very reliable. Okay, now we could talk about the injuries, the luck side of the whole thing. Yes, this has been an unlucky season for Arizona State, but overall, this team just isn't meshing well. Offensively, defensively, this team just frankly isn't very good. When you look at the numbers as it relates to the entire Big 12, Arizona State is 10th right now in points per game in this conference. Does that have to do with the fact that they don't have, quote, a guy, right? Outside of BJ Freeman, is there a guy that you can point to and look to any given night to go off for 20 points? Not really. Adam Miller's been ejected 2 of the last 4 games. Josan Sannon hasn't been the player that you saw in non-conference. Jaden Quaintance has been injured. Bashir Jihad, he has struggled offensively as of late. There are a number of issues with this Arizona State offense. Again, not just on Hurley, okay? Part of this falls on the team as well. They're 12th in field goal percentage. 12 out of 16. You know why they're 12th, Captain Redbeard?
Why is that?
Shot selection. They take bad shots. They play one-on-one ISO basketball. They think, hey, I'm better than you, and I'm just going to do what I want. That's what it looks like. It's something we talked about on Saturday. For one half, they take bad shots. Sometimes they go in, and we'll sit back there watching them, and we'll be like, well, guess what? Here's another one coming. Just because it fell, just because it went in, doesn't mean it's a good shot. And then you'll get maybe a stretch of 10, 15 minutes of, man, look at this. They're actually working it inside a little bit. We're running some plays, and the offense looks good. There's just not enough of that right now. It feels like at times this team gets so frustrated offensively that there are individuals on the roster that are like, you know what, I'm going to take over. I'm going to take over the game plan offensively, and it just doesn't work. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look like team basketball. And if you don't have a team, you're not going to win in this conference. Again, 12th in field goal percentage in this conference. How about behind the arc, 3-point land? Well, they're 5th. Not bad. 5 out of 16, but guess what? They attempt the 6th most threes in the conference. They just chuck it up sometimes, man. I dare you to watch an Arizona State basketball game sometimes. Adam Miller, Josan Sannon, sometimes they'll let it fly. Sometimes they go in. Sometimes they do, and sometimes it looks pretty. I'll be honest. But sometimes it feels like they don't know when to stop taking those threes. We'll be forcing threes with 22 seconds left on the clock, on the shot clock. Why? For what? There's still time. We can get a better look. That is what has me sitting in these recliners over here, just shaking my head sometimes. Where, yes, you could look at that TCU game and say, hey, certain things didn't bounce the right way, literally, for Arizona State. You don't win the game on one possession, man. You had 2 halves. You have 40 minutes of ball to go win that ball game. You telling me there's not a handful of shots that you wish your team didn't take? Looking back at those players Those players probably looking themselves in the mirror being like, man, I wish I didn't take that shot. We could have got a better one. That's where this team offensively is at. 11th in free throw percentage. Do I even got to talk about it? How many opportunities have there been for Arizona State this season to put a game away or to get back in a game at the charity stripe? And they just don't. Heck, there was a moment in this game this past weekend against TCU. BJ Freeman had an and one. Had a tough take to the rack. Went, shot a free throw, missed it. Arizona State trailing. Right? The little things. And this free throw percentage issue always feels like a problem for Arizona State. I know you're new here, Captain Redbeard, to ASU basketball, but the free throws don't come very free for Arizona State. Ever.
I don't understand that.
I don't either.
You can sit in the gym for hours and practice free throws.
Why wouldn't you? If I paid you money to go be a college basketball player, right? Because they're all getting money. They're all getting paid, right? It's what you're doing. It's your job now. And if your one issue was, hey, can't hit free throws, guess what? I'm spending 3 days out of the week after practice, and I'm not leaving till I make 100 free throws. Why aren't those things happening? It's driving me crazy. It's driving me crazy. Think about that on your own personal life basis, right? For everybody watching, listening at home. If you're bad at something, as it relates to the job that you have, you got two options. Either get better at it or get a different job. And right now, these guys don't look like they're getting any better at these things, this point in the season. Again, I don't know. Are they checked out? Is it just too hard? Maybe. It's easy for me to sit behind the mic and say, hey, get better at your free throws. But, I mean, come on, get better at your free throws. This has been a problem for Arizona State for a while. 11th in free throw percentage. 10th in rebounds per game. Again, 10 out of 16. Jaden Quains and Sean Phillips, I feel like have played solid this season. I think Sean Phillips off the bench has been a really, really impressive player this season. Especially you look at what he's had to do filling in for Quains while he's hurt. And obviously Quains, when he's there and he's healthy, he's been phenomenal to watch. Youngest player in college basketball right now. Division I college basketball. But there's not really a ton of size on this team outside of those two. Right? You got those two and Bashir. Those are your rebounders. Is it really a surprise that this team gets out-rebounded every single night? Especially when they're going up against guys like Texas Tech's JT Toppin? Like, it's not a surprise. This is the way the team was built. They've never really had true bigs. They've had tall guys. They've had tall guys on the team. Sean Phillips is a tall guy. Jaden Quains is a big man. Right? And like I said, I want to give credit to Sean Phillips. I think he's been really, really promising over the course of the last 5-6 games. They're just not deep enough at the big position to be getting these rebounds offensively, defensively. And if you can't crash the glass, especially defensively, then you're allowing these teams with already really good scores to get extra opportunities. It hasn't made sense. It's been bad. They're 13th in assists per game. 13 out of 16. You know what that tells me? Tells me they're not playing team basketball. Tells me they're playing isolation ball. It's you versus me, Captain Redbeard. That's it. It's you versus me. But guess what? I got a whole team. I'm just choosing not to spread it out. Why? Why? We're 5th in three-pointers made, right? In three-point percentage. Why are we not kicking it? Why are we not getting better looks? Why are we playing iso ball when we see that it's not working? Losers of 10 of your last 12. Change something. I'm driving myself crazy.
And they're getting gassed too. Like, you wonder why. Iso ball is exhausting.
It is. Just kick it, dude.
Mason's playing 40 minutes a game, you know? These guys are playing 35 plus. Just pass the rock.
What's crazy to me is it feels like if you're gassed and you're winded after 38 minutes of competitive basketball, which again, I get it. Why wouldn't you just kick it? Why are we not trying to get better looks? Why isn't Bobby, and maybe he is, I'm not sitting on the bench. Why isn't he saying, hey, we need to get X amount of passes in before we take a shot? I never want to see, unless you are point blank wide open, I do not want to see a shot go up with 20 plus seconds on the shot clock. Why? Like, what's the point in that? Especially when this offense is struggling. Wouldn't you want to build some sort of rhythm? They just haven't done it, and they're not sharing the basketball. Again, 13th in assists per game. This team is last in steals per game. Last in steals per game. Unbelievable right now, the way that this team is playing. Unbelievably bad. It's got to change. Offensively, defensively, third most turnovers per game. Third most fouls per game. All of these things, right? Let's pretend for a second, everybody in here, that we're not talking about Arizona State. You have zero ties to the program that we're going to talk about. And I tell you, hey, this team's in a 16-team conference. They turn the ball over third most in this conference. They foul third most in this conference. They're last in steals per game, 10th in points per game, 12th in field goal percentage. They've had a starting guard be ejected in 2 of the last 4 games. Before that, they had another guard headbutt one of their rivals. Their head coach didn't want to shake hands. And then after a loss, their head coach said, well, the guys didn't want to talk to me postgame. And they've lost 10 of the last 12. What would you say? Would you say that maybe it's time for a change at whatever school we're talking about? There's no way I could tell you that. I could tell you all of those things. And then you could sit back and say, hey, well, we are going to run it back next year. For why? For what? It hasn't worked. Like, it hasn't. You've seen the numbers. This is not opinion-based stuff. This is factual stuff. These are facts. Numbers are not lying to you here. That's what this team is. They're just not good right now. And they haven't been. In Big 12 play, since it started, they have not been good. They've got 3 wins in this conference. 1 against West Virginia, which at the time was a great win. The other 2 wins against the worst team in this conference, Colorado. Other than that, they've been outmatched, outgunned, outcoached, outplayed, out everything every given night. You could say it's unlucky, which, yes, part of it's been unlucky. 9 times out of 10, watching this team, the other team is just better. That's not unlucky. There's so much more that goes into it. Something has to give. The relationship between Hurley and the fan base is broken. Can it be mended? Can it be fixed? Can the fan base flip on its head and fight for Hurley by the end of the season? That's the question we are going to answer on the other side of this break. Guys, look, the sun is starting to come out. So whether you're going to the pool, if you're golfing, hanging out with the boys, does not matter. When I say that sun is going to be shining, it means y'all are going to be ripe here pretty soon, especially here in the Valley when those temps get up to 110 plus. That's why you guys need Mando, okay? Mando is a men's deodorant brand that's hyper-focused on keeping every aspect of a man's body smelling fresh and clean. What are we talking about here? Well, Mando, they're here to help some of those colorful body parts of you guys not stink so much, okay? We're talking pits, belly buttons, balls, butt cracks, grundles, and so much more. Their scents are geared towards men with options like bourbon leather, clover woods, Mount Fiji, and Pro Sport. They have it all for you guys. So, like I said, if we're going out on a date, if we're going golfing, if we're just going outside, make sure you guys have your Mando. Okay, Mando starter pack is perfect for new customers. Comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, and free shipping. As a special offer for listeners, new customers can get $5 off a starter pack with their exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack. Use code PHNX at shopmando.com. Shopmando.com. Now, look, the segment we're going to get into here in just a segment is, of course, brought to you guys by our friends over at Branded Bills. You can see all of those lovely hats that we have here in Studio K. We had the luxury of going over to Branded Bills last week, literally making hats, being able to see the process, see the passion, see the creativity by their team. Look, whether you need snapbacks, truckers, fitteds, beanies, or tees, Branded Bills, they have you covered with performance and style. Head to brandedbills.com and use that code PHNX for 20% off your first order. Look, before we get into it, again, appreciate everybody taking time out of their day to watch live, watch after the fact, listen on audio to the PHNX Sun Devils show. Of course, we talk basketball because we're in basketball season. Spring football is right around the corner, so we are definitely going to be bringing you guys the best coverage in the game when it comes to Arizona State spring football. Sam Levitt, Jordan Tyson are back. Kanye Udo, he is the new running back in Tempe. The defense looks like it did last season, which is a good thing. Not to mention, you got some ASU baseball starting. ASU hockey is on a heater. ASU softball is doing its thing. So if you're an Arizona State fan, again, I promise, maybe remove yourself from the frustration that is Arizona State men's basketball just for a second and enjoy some of those other Arizona State sports, okay? I promise it's going to be better. It will get better. You just have to believe, have a little bit of hope, and then maybe go watch some ASU football. That's what you got to do. Because, again, this is Captain Redbeard's first season really on the grind that is ASU men's basketball. It's a little different than ASU football, wouldn't you say, Captain Redbeard?
Oh, polar opposites.
A lot of lost music.
I know.
For these post-game shows.
I want to hear that win music again.
I know,
just
man.
one time before the end of the season.
It'd
Come
be
on,
great.
Bobby.
Do you think they do it? Do you think that we will hear it?
Maybe.
Let's put up the Bobby boy real quick. Let's see if anybody in the chat thinks that Arizona State is going to pull off any of these wins. You got Houston on Tuesday. Then you got Kansas State, who's been one of the hottest teams over the last month in college basketball. You got BYU, which any given night apparently can stomp anyone in this conference for 15 or 20 points. You got Utah, which last I checked, I'm pretty sure Utah just beat Kansas. Then you got Arizona, your rival, on the road. Then you got Tech. Last time ASU played Tech, JT Toppin dropped 40+. I don't know if there's a game on this schedule that you could point to and say, well, Arizona State's going to win that one. Maybe Utah, right, Kyle? That's the one that we're looking at where it's okay, Utah's not very good. You're familiar with the program because you played them a ton. Maybe this is it. Is that the game?
Maybe Kansas State, because they are coming off a loss, but they have been the hottest team in the conference.
And you were
maybe
up
they're
15.
cooling down. I don't know.
I don't think you win any of these games, by the way, without Jaden Quaintance.
Oh, yeah.
I think you need to have Jaden Quaintance to be competitive in these games. Coach Stark Holmes in chat saying, it will get better when we clean house and then go to the spring game. It will. It will. That's, again, you got some time. You got some time for all that to happen, so enjoy it. Enjoy these however many games left of this season because this roster will look different next year. Again, like I said, I believe this coaching staff will look different next year. Whether that's Bobby, whether that's assistants, whatever. 2026 will be a different season, a different year for Arizona State basketball. But with that in mind, I want to get to Factor Cap, brought to you by Branded Bills. Elevate your brand with Branded Bills, the perfect headwear and apparel. Use code PHNX for 20% off your first order. I say all that 2026 will look different for ASU hoops, men's basketball specifically, roster, coaching, whatever. My question today, Factor Cap, is there anything at all that Bobby Hurley can do to win back the fans with a handful of games left? Is there anything that a coach who has been in Tempe for the last decade can say, can do to get this fan base back in? Or at least get him off the hot seat? Can you beat your rival? Does that get it done? Can you upset Houston? Does that get it done? Do you have to win out? Something we've already explored and discussed on this show before. Something that we all feel is very unlikely. Like anything at all? Orthodox Echoes in the chat says no, lowercase. Absolutely nothing. I don't know. I'm torn here between fact or cap. Can Hurley have a post-game presser like Shrewsbury did? Can he have one of those, get fired up and say, you know what, if you want me to leave, that's fine, but I'm going to fight till my last day here? Does that get somebody bought in? Do you have to win every game? Do you have to get verbal commitments from Quaintance and Sandin to return next season? What do you have to do, Kyle, to get this fan base, at least part of it, to not want Hurley gone? Or is it impossible? Is it cap? Is there nothing that can be done?
I think the only thing that you can do is do all of the above. Get the recruitments back. You don't have to win every single game the rest of the way, but I do think you need to beat U of A and upset Houston tomorrow, and which is a really tall task. But that's what, other than that, I think ASU fans are done. Like, we're done. We're checked out from this experiment that's clearly not working.
It's a decade-long experiment, by the way.
Yeah. Even though it's a new conference, it's a new team, new conference, but
same result.
Same result. So I think they have to do all those things in order for him to have an argument like, hey, let's run it back next year.
All of the above, by the way, features in Captain Redbeard's words. Upsetting number 5 Houston. Upsetting your rival on the road. Getting Jaden Quaintance and Josan Sandin to return. And then maybe having a fiery press conference where you are passionate about wanting to come back and taking accountability for what this season was. What would you say is the percentage of all of those things happening? Do you have a more likely chance of getting struck by lightning than all of those things happening? Because this team has lost 10 of 12. We're talking about upsetting 2 top 15 teams in a matter of 3 weeks? Getting 2 of the highest rated freshmen that you had, who have performed well at certain points, to opt to come back and run this back instead of entering the transfer portal where they could go get a bag, go to a winning program. What do we got? 5%? 3%?
You read my mind. 5% chance.
Oof. Okay.
You could probably walk out and get struck by lightning, even in Arizona, over this happening.
I am going to look. So you're saying that this is a 5% chance.
Yeah. Of all those things
happening. I want to take a look at just some percentages of things, okay? Let's see if we can find how rare is a 5% chance, or like just random things that something would happen. Okay? Let's see if I can find any. I can't, man. Google sometimes just doesn't want to work with me and doesn't want to give me what I'm looking for. Let's see, Captain Redbeard, if you could find just things that have a 5% chance of happening.
ASU winning the Big 12 football.
Was that a 5% chance?
It's got to be somewhere around there. They were picked last.
They might have had a less chance.
Yeah, less. Probably less.
Jeez. It's tough. Jason in the chat saying, y'all are bigger than Houston, but they just want the ball more. Not only do they want the ball more, but Houston plays wicked defense. And this is an Arizona State offense that we talked about. Just doesn't share the basketball. They take bad shots. There's not enough depth. Like, looking at this on paper, Tuesday night's game against Houston is going to be the red wedding if you've seen Game of Thrones. It's going to be ugly. The only difference is this isn't going to come by surprise. You know exactly what's going to happen Tuesday night. A team in Houston that's top 5 in the conference in steals per game, top 5 in the conference in blocks per game, and they're the only team in this conference that doesn't allow their opponent to have 60-plus points per game. And you're giving me them versus Arizona State, a team that's lost 10 of 12, that offensively does everything that we just told you. Like, it would take a miracle. Pigs would have to fly. Maybe they will. Maybe tomorrow's the day. Maybe pigs fly tomorrow. That'd be cool, wouldn't it? Would you rather have pigs fly or beat Houston? That's the question. Would you rather see a flying pig or would you rather beat Houston tomorrow? That's where we're at with this basketball program. It's tough to watch. So I'm going to go Cap. Is there anything that the fan base that Bobby Hurley could do to win back the fan base? No, I don't think so. I think kind of like Kyle said, ASU fans have been on this roller coaster for a decade. And it hasn't ever led to just glorious highs. It's never been a point where it's like, hey, you know what? I'm cool with Bobby running it back, because you remember back in 2017 when we were a Sweet 16 team, like maybe we can get back to those days. You know, it's not like it's, oh man, let's go back to that 2021 year and let's do X, Y, and Z. Like the peaks have always been what? Dayton, Ohio, first four. Doesn't really sell you too much on anything. Mind you, this is a team, this is a program that at one point was the last undefeated team in Division I college basketball back in 2017, 2018. The last undefeated team. Arizona State was the number 3 team in the country. Do you know what they did in March Madness? They got bounced in the first 4 in Dayton, Ohio, because they couldn't beat Syracuse's zone. That's how that year ended. That was the peak. That was literally like the boom. This is where the highest that Arizona State basketball has been under Bobby Hurley. And again, we've already addressed those comments that it's like, oh, can you do better? Well, maybe, maybe not. Should you settle? Do you ever settle for that? ASU football could have settled. Could have settled with any of the coaches that they had before Kenny. But I think there's almost more pressure now on Bobby Hurley. There's almost more pressure now on all of these other coaches that have had programs over the last 3 to 5 years at Arizona State that have been a little iffy, been a little shaky. Why is there pressure? Because Kenny did something that nobody thought they could do. Literally. They won a championship in year 2 in a new conference. They went to the college football playoff. I went to Atlanta to watch the Arizona State Sun Devils play the Texas Longhorns in the college football playoff. If I would have told you that 2 years ago, you would have looked at me and checked me into a facility. It's possible. Can Arizona State basketball be a team that makes a tournament every year? They can be. Can they do it with Bobby Hurley? Well, statistically, the numbers tell you no. Might be time for a change. And I think the fan base is ready for it. So is there anything that can be done? Well, Kyle says there's a 5% chance of doing X, Y, and Z. Beating Houston, beating Arizona, getting your prized freshman to come back. Maybe showing a little fire at a post-game presser instead of saying that you've lost the locker room. All of those things, and then maybe you have a chance. Guys, let me know in the chat if you think there is anything that Hurley can do to mend the relationship by the end of the season with that Arizona State fan base. Again, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. We're going to continue talking college hoops on the other side of this final break. Look, I don't know about you, but sometimes I just need a weekend. I need a weekend to unplug, to just do my own thing. Maybe friend, girlfriend, whatever. Just go over time, remove myself. Well, I think you guys have the perfect opportunity because NASCAR returns to Phoenix Raceway March 7th through the 9th. Let that be the time that you go out, have a splendid weekend with the family, with some friends, with the kids, with the wife. It really doesn't matter, guys. Join them as the stars of NASCAR Battle it out for the Shriners Children's 500 at Phoenix Raceway. There is nothing like witnessing the stars of NASCAR battle 200 miles per hour on this 1-mile oval raceway in the foothills of the Estrella Mountains. It's a best-in-class fan experience the whole family won't forget. Again, NASCAR returns to Phoenix Raceway March 7th through the 9th. Get your tickets now at phoenixraceway.com. Now, look, this next one hurts me because I want to win what Gila River Resorts and Casinos is giving away, but I have to tell you guys about it, but I promise you, I'm going to win. Not you guys. I'm going to win. Okay, look, get ready to rev your engines for the $350,000 Lamborghini Lux giveaway. Here is how you guys can win, okay? Every Friday in January and February, you're going to have the chance to win cash, free bonus play, or qualify for the grand finale drawing. My answer to that is, why not do it all, okay? There's weekly drawings. You could join them every Friday at 7 p.m. for those drawings. And join them for the grand finale on Saturday, March 1st at Wild Horse Pass, where one lucky winner, it's going to be me, will drive away in a Lamborghini, okay? You do you at Gila River Resorts Casinos. Visit playatgila.com for more details or check out the link in the description below. Genuinely, I hope everybody, or at least somebody in this PHNX Sun Devils chat, wins a Lamborghini. That would be awesome. If you do, all I ask, you hit me up, you let me take it for a spin, just once or twice. It's cool, it's casual. That's all. That's all I ask, okay? Because like I told you about it, you know? I told you how you could win a Lamborghini. I would just expect that, you know, as friends, that's what I feel like we are, comrades, that you would allow me to drive your Lamborghini. Captain Redbeard, I'd let you take out my Lamborghini, like, you know, a time or two.
Yeah, I mean, it's so cool.
I mean, I wouldn't let you like get on the freeway or nothing, but like,
oh, okay.
You can drive it around the block, you know? That's still cool. It's still cool to do that, right? Would you let me? I mean, that's what I'm waiting for here, man. You gonna let me take out your Lamborghini?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not?
Quick spin?
Yeah.
Nothing crazy. Yeah. I would do no such thing. Absolutely not. Make sure you hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, drop a 5-star review every year podcast. So we have spent a ton of time talking about Arizona State men's basketball, Bobby Hurley, the roster. But what about the conference as a whole? Because March is inching closer. The tournament, the big dance, it's coming. Okay? So where does everybody stack up with just a handful of games left in the regular season? Well, I've got my list. This is what we got for some Big 12 power rankings. Of course, I do have Houston at number 1. The defense that this team plays is just ridiculous when you look at it, guys. Again, top 5 in steals per game, top 5 in blocks per game in the conference, and the only team in the Big 12 that doesn't allow their opponent to score more than 60 points a game. I believe the opposition averaging 57 or 58 points per game against Houston. That's ridiculous. Number 2, one that I didn't think would be here at the start of the season, Texas Tech. JT Toppin is that guy. Tech has won 2 in a row. They're 13-2 at home. Watch out for the Red Raiders. Arizona at number 3. This one hurts me. They're 11-3 in conference play, but I'll tell you what, this is a team in the Wildcats that has lost 2 in a row now. They're 5-3 on the road in this conference. Watch out, okay? I think Arizona is a team that could potentially crumble when it matters most. I'm not saying this from a biased perspective. If you go by the pattern, this is the year that Arizona gets bounced in the first round of the tournament. Again, we'll see what happens. Iowa State at 4, BYU at 5. They're such a weird team. Can anyone tell me why BYU is a top 5 team in college basketball right now? Well, they are. They're 8-6 in the Big 12, tied with Baylor, who we have at number 6. Baylor and Arizona, number 6 and number 3, respectively, on my power rankings. They've got a date tonight. Should be a good one. Going to have tournament implications, not just for the NCAA tournament, but for the Big 12 tournament as well. The Jayhawks at number 7. Interesting here because Kansas is in the AP top 25. Baylor and BYU are not. Kansas, though, they are a team that, again, is confusing, right? Kansas is a team that going into this season, many expected to be the favorite in this loaded conference. You have Hunter Dickinson. Well, it has been sloppy at times for Kansas again. I believe the Jayhawks lost to Utah in their last matchup, but they do have BYU and Colorado over their next 2 games. Maybe the Jayhawks can get back on track. Kansas State at number 8. For a second, Kansas State was the hottest team in college basketball, but let's not get it twisted. They're still 7-7 in the Big 12 this season. I think they're a tournament team, but it would go a long way for Kansas State to really make a run down the stretch. TCU at 9. You know what I saw from TCU against Arizona State? Nothing. Just that they're better than Arizona State. That's really all I saw from the Horned Frogs. Cincinnati at number 10. Captain Redbeard, off the top of your head, what do you think Cincinnati has done in their last 4 games? What's their record?
3-1.
3-1. Only loss coming to Iowa State. They beat Utah, beat BYU by nearly 20 points, and they went on the road, scored 93 points in a win over UCF. Cincinnati, they're beating bad teams in this conference, but they're racking up the wins. Utah at 11, West Virginia at 12. Oh, how the Mountaineers have fallen from that mountain. Oklahoma State at 13. UCF at 14. I'm not sure that I feel worse for a fan base than UCF because they had RJ Harvey in football and they didn't do anything with him. And now you look at college basketball for UCF. Again, a team that's got a guy that we've seen score 40 points at points this season? You know who I'm talking about. Keyshawn Hall, who went for a gazillion against Arizona State. You want to know what the UCF Knights have been up to lately? Well, lost to Kansas, lost to BYU, lost to Cincinnati, lost to Baylor, lost to Iowa State. The icing on the cake, they lost to the Buffs by 13. UCF, they suck. Arizona State at 15. We already talked about them for an hour. You know why they're at 15. The Buffs at 16. They're bad, guys. They're really bad. If you ever want to feel better about Arizona State or UCF or Oklahoma State, turn on some Colorado Buffaloes basketball. And I guarantee you, you will sleep easy about the state of your college basketball program if you watch it. Okay? MC in the chat saying we need a hoops win and upset tomorrow. Let's put a poll in the chat real quick before we get out of here. Do you think Arizona State upsets Houston? That's the question. Yes or no? Do the Devils get it done against the number 5 team in the country, the Houston Cougars, a team that plays arguably the best defense in this conference, has got a certified baller in LJ Cryer, and Arizona State, again, has won 2 of their last 12 games. Do they get it done? This is an interesting question. Jason in the chat saying, does Totri have a better shot at getting a date with Jenna Ortega than for all of those things to happen to ASU basketball? That's the question. What do you think, Captain Redbeard? Do you think I'd have a better shot at getting a date with Jenna Ortega than ASU hoops beating Houston, Arizona, getting Quaintance and Sandin back, and Hurley showing some gritty energy in a post-game presser?
I think so.
You think so?
Yeah.
Wow.
You got a good shot compared to those odds.
Compared to the 5% odds that we set. Oof. Wow, Jason. That's a question I didn't think that I would be presented with today. So I appreciate you keeping me on my toes with that one. Again, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. Also, shameless plug, head over to gophnx.com today. Click the little Die Hard tab. It's going to tell you everything that you unlock when you become a PHNX diehard. Exclusive, diehard only content. You guys are going to get a free t-shirt or hat every single year. Okay? Every single year. Go to the locker, check out the ASU shirts we have. If you're a U of A fan, we got some U of A merch in there as well. Cards, Diamondbacks, just Valley vibes in general. You're also going to get discounts on events, okay? And so much more. Go check it out. One affordable yearly price to become a PHNX diehard. That's gophnx.com click the little Die Hard tab. Guys, that is going to do it for today's episode of the PHNX Sun Devils Show. If you enjoyed the content, give us a follow at PHNX_Sun Devils. You can follow me at Anthony_Tosh. You can follow the man behind the Mac, Captain Redbeard, at KCoop Sports on social. And of course, we will be back for a Arizona State post-game show on Tuesday as the Devils try to beat the odds of me getting a date with Jenna Ortega and beating the Houston Cougars. It will either be a post-game party or another therapy session, the third time in less than 2 weeks. Okay, but as always, go Devils. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.